Today I will be showing a technique that makes your food photos pop with taste. Just have a look at these, pretty awesome. Let's kick off with this image. First, let me remove all the current adjustments I created earlier and turn on the original image. Great! As mentioned in my last video, I'm going to start by adding a step 0 curve, which is going to make the image a tiny bit flatter, but will give the following adjustments a bit more working space. The technique I'm going to show today is a 3-step process. The first step is to add a black and white adjustment and put the blend mode of it to soft light or overlay. This will probably darken the image and you will also lose some color. That's okay. The goal of this adjustment is to give contrast and make some colors stronger, especially the red and the yellow. If I play with the red slider, you can see how the red colors in the image get more or less contrasty. So I have to find a value which works good. Similarly, let's do that for the yellow. Coming to the green, in most cases I just lower this quite a bit. This makes the greens stronger, which works mostly well with food images. The cyan, blue and the magenta will not affect the food too much, but as you can see, I can use them to clean up the white carton basket. Awesome! So the next step is to emphasize the food colors by adding a selective color adjustment. This will also slightly restore the colors which we lost during the last adjustment. Just like with the black and white adjustment, the red, yellow and the green will be the main colors of our focus. So for the red, I'm going to make it more prominent by increasing the black values. With the yellow slider, we can make the red more warm, and lowering the cyan will add a little bit more red color to the image. For the yellows, I will apply similar values, just making sure we get these nice, warm and tasty colors. As I want the little greens we have in the image more visible, I'm just going to make it more lighter by lowering the black slider. The cyan, blue and magenta will have no effect, so let's skip to the whites. I'm going to make the white lighter by lowering its black value. This will make the paper basket brighter and give more contrast to the food. The neutrals I'm not going to use, but you can use it to control the brightness of the image or give the image a small color tint. The blacks I'm also gonna leave as it is. As you see, changing the blacks is not very helpful. Let's close the selective color adjustment. We now have a much more pleasing and tasty image already. This brings us to step 3. As you remember, the black and white adjustment made the image darker. To compensate for that, I'm going to duplicate the original image and move it to the top. Let's do a quick compare with the before and the after. Awesome! Now if I apply this duplicate in screen blend mode, we brighten the image quite a bit, which is in fact not so bad at all. But with the help of blend ranges, we can really fine-tune the brightness of the image. Our main goal is to actually brighten the darks, so lowering the highlights in the blend range does the trick. If I turn on and off this layer, you can see how this affects the composition. By adding brightness to it, the food looks much more fresh and more delicious. Let's quickly compare by moving a duplicate of the original to the top. I can now easily turn this on and off to see the before and the after. Pretty cool. It's time for an optional step 4, but I always would advise you to apply it. In this step, we're going to remove the distractions in the image, so the viewer's full attention will go to the food. I will apply a merge visible, which creates a new layer with what we are seeing right now. I'm doing this as I will be inpainting the image and I don't want to do this destructively. And this allows me to work on a copy. I could also create an empty pixel layer and make the changes on the pixel layer if I have used current layer and below in the healing brushes. Anyway, let's continue with the cleanup. By using the inpaint tool and the healing brush, I'm going to remove the breadcrumbs which I find distracting. The next cleanup I'm going to do is to get rid of the dirty nail showing at the bottom of the image. It just doesn't feel hygienic. To do that, I'm going to add a pixel layer and select the color from the finger. With a paintbrush, I'm just going to paint over the area of the nail. To have it better blend in, I will adjust the blend range so the painted area dominantly applies to the darker areas I have painted over. Now, it might be that the color we selected does not really match with the rest of the image. With an HSL adjustment, we can fine-tune this color. I can also use the erase tool to fix some areas I have painted too much. A tip here is also to zoom out and then check the color. This way you can really see whether you did a good job in blending it in. That looks pretty awesome. So the final adjustment, which usually works very well, is to dim and slightly color the background. For this, I'm going to add a fill layer. For the fill color, I'm going to select a very subtle light orange color. If I apply this fill layer in soft light blend mode, we get this nice warm effect in the image. As I only want this to apply to the background, I'm going to add a mask to this fill layer and mask out the food by painting with a black brush on the mask. Optionally, I can also lower the opacity to make it feel more subtle. Let's have a quick look at the before and the after. Pretty amazing. That looks so much better. I also like how the fill layer make the coloring of the hand more natural and have it fit more with the image. So let's have a look at some other examples where I have applied this same technique. This example is kind of complicated, but still the same steps were applied. Let me turn off all the adjustments and quickly go through them one by one. So the first thing I did was to remove the glare on the glasses on a duplicate of the original. If you're interested in that, I will put a link in the description to an earlier video explaining in more detail how to apply this. I have put this layer into multiply blend mode with a mask, which really creates this nice dark colors. Next, we have the black and white adjustment followed by the selective color adjustment. As you see, the image looks much better. One last thing I did was to fix the perspective. The glass was not perfectly vertical, and by adding a perspective filter, I kind of fixed that. And here is the final result. Let's go to the next example and go through the adjustments one by one again. I've added a step 0 curve, black and white adjustment, the selective color, and finally the duplicate in screen blend mode. As with the document we started with, I will fix the long nail showing up by changing the color first and then using a liquify filter to shorten the nail. This looks definitely more pleasing. Also a cleanup of the distractions. A vignette to draw more attention to the food and a cleanup of the gray areas in the background followed by a curves layer to give more contrast to finish up. Next quick example, same steps again. The step 0, black and white, selective color and the screen duplicate. A little bit of cleaning up and a background color shift. And here is the final example. The steps are very similar. However, in this case, I have darkened the right section of the image, so the brightness was more in balance. After the steps I explained in the video, you get this amazing result. I hope you like this method. Thank you for watching and until the next video.